And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. I'm Brian Fisher. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk, the most feared and dangerous radio network in all of America. Got a special guest I want to introduce in just a moment, but Planned Parenthood, and it ties into what I want to talk to our next guest about. Planned Parenthood caught lying again. There have been a number of cases where the health of women have been seriously injured. In some cases, women have died because of botched abortions at Planned Parenthood clinics. Live action films, Lila Rose had volunteers call these Planned Parenthood clinics where women had to be hospitalized or had died because of botched procedures in their clinics, and Planned Parenthood lied to these women. Let's listen. Charlie Butts.
The undercover probe reveals Planned Parenthood lying about medical emergencies and a patient death. The phone calls were made to Planned Parenthood abortion businesses where ambulances have responded to medical emergencies. Here are just two of the undercover calls.
Has anyone been hurt? Like, has anyone had a problem after having one?
I mean, you have some cramping, you have some bleeding, some people think.
But is it dangerous?
No, ma'am.
Not at all?
No, ma'am.
So I'm not going to get, hurt or anything at the clinic?
No, ma'am.
Both of the procedures are safe and effective.
Nobody has been hurt at the clinic, right?
Correct.
Yet there had been medical emergencies at both clinics. Then Live Action called the Planned Parenthood in Chicago, where Tanya Reeves had a second-term abortion.
Is it safe?
Yes, it's safe.
Well, has anybody gotten hurt because of having an abortion?
Again, it's a very safe environment. It's very clean.
So no one's ever been hurt at your clinic?
No.
Yet Tanya Reeves had an incomplete abortion, a perforated uterus, and an ambulance was not called for over 5 hours. She died at the hospital.
So that's Planned Parenthood. That's Planned Parenthood. Charlie Butts, One News Now. That's a news story that we got up at One News Now talking about Planned Parenthood again. They've been lying about doing mammograms. Barack Obama's been lying about them doing mammograms, and now they're lying about whether women are ever injured doing abortions and in their clinics. And that brings us to our special guest, Aaron Fruh, who is the pastor of Knollwood Church in Mobile, Alabama. Pastor Fruh, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Thank you, Brian. Good to be here.
Well, it's great to have you with us, and I know you've been on some of the other programs on the AFR network on both the inspo side, the inspirational side, and here on the talk side. And Aaron, what I wanted to talk with you about, and I think you're a frequent guest for my colleague Crane Durham on Nothing But Truth,
right.
But what I do wanted to bring you on is specifically talk about a project that you have undertaken called Decree for America. Tell our listening and viewing audience what that's all about.
Well, what happened, Brian, right after the Democratic Convention, when they produced this platform with some very radical changes to their platform. First of all, they talk about on their platform about giving women abortion regardless of ability to pay, and so that's taxpayer-funded abortion. So the Catholic Church, I think, is bringing 14 lawsuits against the Obama administration because it infringes on our religious liberty that we would have to pay for someone else's abortion. And then the second thing in the platform that was very radical was they're calling to support the movement of same-sex marriage, which is changing marriage laws in America. And then the third area was the division of the land of Israel. And so the morning after, I was just in my office praying, and I felt like I should write a decree. A decree is simply a written faith proclamation. Job 22, verse 28 says, "You shall decree a thing, and it shall be established for you." And I think, there's so many Christians today wondering, what can I do other than vote? I mean, what can I do? And, we can do what Esther did. In the book of Esther, there was a very evil man named Haman who had written a decree, a political decree, for the annihilation of the Jewish people. And Esther simply sat down and wrote a decree to supersede what he had written, and through that, the Jewish people were saved. So we see the principle of decreeing all through the Bible. The early church, they called them creeds. They would write down their ideas of faith and belief and doctrine, and they were the creeds of the church. And Chuck Colson, he wrote a decree several years ago called the Manhattan Declaration. And so I asked Mark Foley, who's a president of a Christian university, to join me, and a Orthodox rabbi friend of mine named Arius Sparrow. He's just written a book called Pushback. And so we joined together and wrote the Decree for America. And then Mike Gottfried with ESPN got involved. And So the thing has kind of evolved the last month, and we have a website now. It's called decreeforamerica.com, and we're simply asking for people to come onto the website. And, you might say, well, what can I do? How can my signature change things? But, for Esther, that decree saved many people. And so we're asking you to come on the website, decreeforamerica.com, and sign. And then on the 4th of November, we're asking churches all across America to read the decree from their pulpits. And then on the 5th of November, we're asking believers across the country to go to their Capitol steps at noon their time, where this decree will be read in all 50 states.
And I'm looking at the website right now, talking here with Aaron Fruh, pastor of Knollwood Church in Mobile, Alabama, and author of the Decree for America. Go to the website again, decreeforamerica.com. I'm looking at the website right now, and I have signed the decree. I would encourage you to do the same. And Aaron, as you mentioned, I'm looking at the fact sheet here from Decree for America. It has to do, it's very simple and straightforward, but profound. We decree life. We decree traditional family values, that marriage is one man, one woman, and we decree an undivided Israel. So what people are signing on to is a commitment that they believe in these values. This is the decree that they are signing. It's a decree for the American people, intended to be read by and responded to by the American people. And it's a decree that deals with the sanctity of life, the sanctity of marriage, and the nation of Israel. Now, that sounds to me like a decree that most evangelical Christians, most of the people in our listening and viewing audience, are going to be happy to sign.
Yeah, I believe so. And John Waller, who wrote the music for Fireproof, he's a good friend of mine. I called him up and said, John, could you write a song? And so he joined with Mike Weaver from Big Daddy Weave, and they produced a beautiful song called Our Decree. And when you go on the website, there's several videos there. There's information from, people that have signed this decree from all over the country. There's been several pastors now that have, come and supported the decree. So we're just believing that, this decree could actually change things in our country.
And we're going to end our segment, Aaron, when we're done chatting here in just a minute or two. We'll close out this segment by playing that song so our folks can get a taste for that. One last thing before I let you go. John MacArthur, you indicate you developed this decree in response to the Democratic National Convention and the platform that they adopted. And we've seen guys like John MacArthur, one of the finest Bible teachers in America. I have enormous respect for him as a Bible teacher, but has been relentlessly apolitical. He came out in a sermon recently and said, look, what the Democrat Party has done is they've taken the sins of Romans 1 and they have turned them into their party platform. And then we had Billy Graham coming out with an ad. I had Dr. Robert Jeffress on yesterday. A businessman in his church underwrote the cost of putting that ad in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and major newspapers in all the battleground states. And here's Billy Graham coming out with the statement, we need to vote for candidates that will stand for life, marriage, and religious liberty. Again, he's been apolitical. And what I'm picking up from this, Aaron, is that America's spiritual leaders, and you are among them, are realizing, look, these are desperate times, and it's time for God's people to stand up and be counted.
Exactly, and I've been one of those apolitical pastors, you're talking about, Brian. But in this day, for me coming out of the shadows is because these issues are very moral. Actually, they're very immoral. It used to be that the left would say Christians cannot legislate morality. But the Democratic Party in this platform, they are obviously legislating immorality. And so, as a Christian, I want to be a voice to maybe people that don't have a voice. And so this decree really offers a voice to folks that are looking for, something to do, something to proclaim. So we just ask you to go to the website, decreeforamerica.com, and just join with thousands of Christians that have already signed this decree.
Guest on our Decision Maker line has been Aaron Fruh, the pastor of Knollwood Church in Mobile, Alabama. The website is decreeforamerica.com. Encourage you to go there and sign the decree. And Aaron, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us. I'm going to let you go here, and we're going to play the song that you referenced to close out this segment. Thank you, Aaron, and God bless you.
Thank you, Brian.
Aaron Fruh, Decree for America. Let's listen to the song that was written for this website.
For the love of God and country for such a time as now. We are in a state of emergency, so let this trumpet sound.
The 2012 Democratic Party platform will officially adopt an extreme position.
That plank says tax-paid abortion at any moment.
Including the party's official support of same-sex marriage. They want a repeal of the Defense of Marriage Act.
The DNC platform deletes passages on Jerusalem, Palestinian refugees, and Hamas.
Well, it was an amazing moment when President Obama stepped forward.
It is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
So that was a significant moment.
Democratic Party officials took the first step in changing the party's platform to include same-sex marriage.
It very much kind of cleared the path to make sure that we had a strong statement in our party platform. Absolutely.
This is our platform.
Wow, we are a convention that really looks like America.
An absolutely stunning moment here at the DNC.
I am here to attest and affirm that our faith and belief in God is central to the American story.
All those delegates opposed say no.
Pro-Israel language removed from the Democratic Party platform.
It still is a little bit perplexing.
No explanation as to why Jerusalem was taken out in the first place.
It is a bit of a question mark about President Obama's commitment to the state of Israel.
It's really important for this platform to really reflect what the future really holds.
This is our platform.
We're speaking to the future. We're speaking to young people.
Democratic Party plank on abortion is the most extreme plank in the United States.
This is our platform.
Now if it pleases the King, we make this decree. We the people stand and agree.
One cry. A nationwide call for spiritual awakening. One cry.